Kia ora. Hi, welcome everybody. Today I am here with Wiremu Grace, who is working on an amazing game, Atuatanga. I think I said that right. Wiremu, can you just start by introducing yourself and explaining a little bit about your background?
Kia ora tātou, kia ora Claire. Ko Wiremu Grace tōku ingoa, he uri o Ngāti Tōranga Tira, te awa whakarongo tai Ngāti Porou. Um, and yeah, my name's Wiremu Grace. I'm from Ngāti Toa in Porirua. Uh, te awa whakarongo tai and also Ngāti Porou on the East Coast. Yeah, uh, I've been a creative all my life, so I've worked in the creative fields. From acting, dance, stage, um, music to visual arts, writing, directing for stage, for radio, for TV, for film, and also for game creation. So yeah, the latest has been a virtual reality game. It's Atuatanga. It's about a 40-minute play. Um, it's been in film festivals, and just recently I came back from Canada where I attended the Imaginative Film Festival, the largest Indigenous festival in the world. And yeah, it went really well there. It's up on the Meta store at the moment, so it's available worldwide on the Meta platform.
Awesome. Can you explain to us a little bit about the game? I've looked at the information that you've sent me, but I'm sure you can explain it a lot better than I can.
Okay, yeah. The game itself, it's hands-free, so you're able to see your hands, and you're able to move around within the game. The game itself, the game story, I'd say a narrative game, narrative-driven game, and the narrative comes from from my background, from my story background as growing up in Hongoeka, but also having a lot of influence from my dad, who's from the East Coast, Ngāti Porou. So the story itself is set post-apocalypse, set in about 3011, I think I came up with that number. And it's after people have more or less destroyed the world, and global warming has taken, or yeah, has destroyed the planet in terms of the korowai of Papatūānuku, or the cloak of Papatūānuku. Um, and machines have taken over. And the job of the person, the player, is to reconnect to the atua, to the gods, and bring back life to the planet. And that's the mission of the player. Uh, yeah, so started about 3 years ago, I think, or it might be a bit over 3 years now. It took us 2.5 years to make it,
Wow.
and a lot of that time was done over Zoom. So we did a lot of hours online, and we were working during COVID. Uh, and yeah, we managed to get it over the line in 2024, the beginning last year, I think. Yeah, the beginning of last year, we got it over the line, and it's the very first Reo Māori, kaupapa Māori virtual reality game ever created.
That's incredible. And to play that game, do you have to have special VR equipment to be able to play it?
It's made for the Quest 2 or the Quest 3.
Hmm.
And so yeah, that's the headset that it's made for.
And it's amazing. I know students I've taught before where we've had virtual reality come into the classroom, and the amount of kids that do actually have it for gaming, I was really surprised. I just feel quite behind the times a little bit, actually. So I really like the fact it sounds like your game's really embedded in our environment, and would you say like being the guide, like being kaitiaki of our environment again after the damage has been done, but also embedded in a Te Ao Māori world?
That's
Um,
right.
the graphics and stuff you've got look amazing. So you've obviously had to work with many people to get this project over the line.
Yeah, there was a big team, but the core team were really just myself and Hayden Steedman, who's the director of Wild Eye Interactive, and his skill set is really in the technical side of things, the gaming machines and the 3D animation and all that sort of stuff. So my side of it has been the directing, the writing, the acting, and the Maori, everything Maori, um, and also some um, yeah, advisory more on the or direction on the art and the how the world is built and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
So it was really a collaborative thing between me and him at its core, and then we had a production team around us that was very close to us, and that's Useful Media, Vanessa Parter and Ruth Corver. So
mhm.
they were the holding on to the production side of things, and myself and Hayden were doing the core work.
Yeah,
Uh, Outside of that, we had music and we had taonga poro and we had um, yeah animators or illustrators and graphic design and there was a lots of other parts that came into building the whole world and the
yeah.
whole game itself.
And that's really interesting when you talk about it like that. Having been a teacher of technology myself, I really like my kids to work in groups because I do believe that in these types of fields, you're not working on your own in a silo. You are working with a lot of people, and you need to learn to communicate with other people, like your ideas, but also um, like verbally and how to draw your ideas so that people can understand, and that there's lots of different um, not stakeholders, but lots of different people involved in the process. It's not
Mm.
just a one person band. I'm sure there'll be some people out there that would do all of that work themselves, but it would be pretty tricky. Have you
Yeah.
found, just with the introduction of AI, does that has that affected like your work maybe moving forward, or did it have a part in any of this game
We
design?
did, yeah, we did use AI in the beginning, especially around the graphic design, because it was very hard to get the ideas across and to become and to get close to the visuals that I was wanting in particular. So we ended up using AI, and that was in the early stages of AI coming into, um, into workspaces, or even AI in itself. So we were in the early stages of using AI, and being up to so it was very useful at the
Mm,
time. Um, I think for myself as a creator, it is important to know what tools there are out there,
yeah.
and AI is a tool. I don't use well. It's it's a little bit of an unknown for me because I am not really up to using it in a way that I could.
Mm,
I I do want to use it more, but I am cautious about it,
yeah.
especially around ideas and creativity, because that is the thing that we have, I believe, that distinguishes us and our skill sets is our ideas,
Yeah.
is our creativity, is our uniqueness as Maori, as Pacifica, as Indigenous people, and that we have special stories to tell. So for me, it's really important to hold on to those and
Mm,
not be um, putting them to AI machines, because
yeah.
AI machines are really just um, copycats. They'll mix everything up and spit something out, but they are not the creators.
Yeah.
It's important for us to be able to hold on to that and then use it as a tool to get what we want, to do what we want.
Yeah.
So use the AI. We don't let the AI use us.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
really like that. It's a little bit of the unknown, isn't it? And there's a lot
Hmm.
of talk around it. There's a lot of people I'm talking to in that space and how you use it. I know people in creative, advertising and stuff and how they use it or want to use it or don't want to use it. And it still seems like a bit of an unknown.
Yeah.
But you've got such a creative background. You've obviously covered so many different types of creative and visual arts that,
Mm.
um, yeah, my little fear, I guess, is that it takes the creativity away from what you're doing, unless it's used, yeah, to help you as a tool. But I guess in the gaming world as well, there's probably quite a lot of AI usage.
Yeah.
So why was it important to you to have this Te Ao Māori based game? Like you've talked, you're obviously very passionate about Māori and Pacifica
Mm.
and being innovative people and creative people. So was this a bit of a passion project or was it just something that you really felt needed to happen?
Uh, yeah, I absolutely believe that that we as Māori, as Pacifica, as Indigenous people, need to tell our own stories. If we don't tell our stories, other people are going to tell them for us.
Mm,
And and it's important for us to be reflecting our own worldview and our own world. And and so VR is a tool, is a medium, is the ability to be able to express story. And there are all sorts of mediums, and I talked about the different ones that I've worked in before. So for me, it's no different. It's it's it gives different types of abilities or gives you different access to do different things, which is great. You know, like in Atuatanga, you can go underneath the ground, you can travel in the mycelium, the root systems of Tāne Mahuta, or you can, produce Maori balls and fire them up into the sky out of your hands. You can do things so I could take my imagination into huge different sort of area spaces but at the base of it is our own story, and to be grounded in that is very, very important because if I were to try and what do you call it uh, tell stories on behalf of others or to allow the influence of, say, the Western culture and then just follow down that track,
mm,
which was actually put to me during the creation of Atuatanga. Then all I'd be doing is making a shoot up game that means nothing. And for me, that's not where I come from. I always
mm,
come from the base of who I am, and I express that in different ways through the different mediums. Otherwise, I'm not being true to my story. I'm not being true to myself. And what comes out for me is just wallpaper,
yeah,
and I'm not in this sort of space as a creative to create bland stuff that everybody else is doing because that does not honor who I am. It
mm,
doesn't honor my ancestors. It doesn't honor the stories that I grew up with. So extremely important
yeah,
to come from the place of who I am, where I come from, and express that with whatever medium there is out
yeah,
there. So I love VR, but I also love AR. I like, I'm exploring 360-degree video and dome technology because I love all of it.
yeah,
Great ways to tell stories and extremely important to be able to engage with young people in mediums that they are drawn to.
yeah,
Kids don't watch TV as much as they used to. They're on all sorts of different platforms. So
mm,
why not take the story into their space
yeah.
and allow them to see something or reflect something of who they are? So yeah,
So
that's my model.
bearing all that in mind, my next question to you would be, what would your advice be? And I think you've probably covered quite a lot of that already, but what would your advice be to Māori and Pacifica students, or any students that are wanting to express themselves in a way that you are, what advice would you give them while they're at school?
Uh, Advice as in study
Well,
sort of
just, I mean, you're
music.
obviously you feel very passionate about what you're doing and believing, and it's coming from your soul, really, isn't it? Everything that
Yeah.
you've done. And how can kids tap into that? How can they, do they need to be really embracing who they are as a person and their culture and pulling that into what they want to get out of at school? Because there is quite a lot of kids, lots of kids, my kids included, that find school quite boring sometimes. And it's hard to keep engaging them and being true to themselves and not just being a cookie cutter of everybody else. So
Yeah, that's
like how do you have any words of advice or encouragement for these kids?
yeah. I can understand why kids would be bored with school. I mean, it's a boring place, and it's modeled on the Ford factory where they pump them through classes at 1 hour at a time and think that at the end they're going to come out educated.
Mm,
And so for me, it's like understand what education is because actually the education that you are that is going to be most potent in your life or more building of foundation might be the education that you have at home. It might be the education that you have amongst your uncles, your aunties, and your community. Joining clubs and all sorts of things and having mentors that are outside of the classroom are very important.
hmm
Being engaged with your environment. What is your environment? When you think about it, is your environment, is your daily routine going to a shop, going to a mall, sitting on a bus, sitting on a train, sitting in a classroom? Well, that's what you're going to reflect in your storytelling if that's all you've got. So education doesn't stop and finish in a classroom. It can't do that because
Yeah.
then you're not honoring all the rest of the education. What are the stories of your grandparents, of your uncles, your aunties, of how did they come to be where they are?
Mm,
Understanding your history, understanding, your present, understanding your future, understanding all of it. Like the depth of education that you can go into is limitless
mm,
if you apply yourself to it and understand it because going for your grades and going for every little bit of thing that says that you're going to get your NCA level two or whatever at the end of the day, and then you're going to be ready for employment, well, that might be unrealistic.
mm.
So be broad in terms of how you think and feel and act within the education
Yeah.
system or education of yourself, because really it is a responsibility of yourself. And young people, I think they understand a bit of that. And I think, you know, the disconnection from the mainstream education is because they actually they know more than what
Mm,
they're perceived to know. They
yeah.
have a lot more understanding because they've got all sorts of media, but it's confusing because, on one hand, the media is saying you've got to look like this. On the other hand, it's saying you need to, stand up against that, or
Mm,
this is good, this is bad, and all the rest of it. So I think it's really important to understand who you are, where you come from, um, where you are in the present, um, and education avenues and things, like for myself, for example, when I was at primary school, my mum took me out of primary school and took me on the land march. And this was us in Porirua going on the land march, walking along the highway of from Porirua to Wellington. And I didn't really know why I was doing it. I know that I got sore legs and had to get in a car and get driven because it was a long way.
mm,
Um, as I got older, I realized my mum was politicizing me. You see, and then we went on the Springbok tour march. Who went on it? My mum. my brother and myself. And yeah, I think it was just us three, or might have been another one of my siblings. But that politicizing of myself through my mother helped form who I was as politically. Why are these things unjust? Why are we standing up against that sort of thing? So, that sort of thing is important. That is education. That
Yeah.
is the foundation of education. But not just that, being connected to my marae, being connected to, our ceremony and our language and our culture and all that. That is the basis of education. Um, and then
Mm,
in today's day and age, if we look at the politics of the day and we look at what's happening in our world, not just in terms of globalization or the throwaway culture of buying everything and throwing it away and the waste
mm,
that's happening, but also what's happening to our environment, what's happening to Indigenous people around the world who are using their power to, you know, massacre people.
mm,
This sort of thing is really important to build. Um, uh, what would I say? Build your culture, build your understanding, and build your strength and foundation as a young person. Because otherwise, you just become like AI and like
yeah.
the robots that produces,
Yeah.
and actually, you're not true to who you are, what your job is as well, not your job, but what is special about you
Mm,
uh, and your time on this planet, because we have a limited time and we want to make the damn best of it.
yeah. Yeah.
So the opportunities come up and take them,
Yeah.
the opportunities, be
Yeah.
the best that you can be and be the very best example and the very best um, version of your ancestors
Mm,
because they're the ones who were before you that got to you to
yeah.
where you are now. So yeah, that's my thoughts about that.
Well, thank you. That took a different turn, didn't it?
I mean, I could talk about the subjects to take,
Yeah.
which, you want to know a little bit about that.
Well, I think we're probably going to run out of time actually very soon. But
Okay.
hey, look, thank you so much, Wiremu, for your time. I really appreciate it. And you're obviously incredibly passionate. And I get the feeling there's probably a lot of thought that's gone into the game and the reasons why you've got the people there and the content that you've got and who you're trying to reach and the message you're trying to get through. So you've obviously spent a lot of time and I appreciate your time today talking to us about it. I
Ka
look
pai.
forward to trying it out.
Kia ora.